Thank you.
As we're
I totally was, though.
YouTube and...
Oh, well, you know what? I already did it because I didn't know what was going on. We were in the mic check, and it just wasn't working out really well. Anyways, Neutrogena Hydro Boost. It's amazing. Are you going to try it?
Yeah.
Hell no. What's wrong with you?
Everything.
You're supposed to say no. Whatever. He can look
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Do I have to look like this all my whole life?
We're gonna need a lot of makeup.
Oh wow.
I'm just kidding.
No, you're not.
Like 20 minutes. Just give me all major credit cards you might have. I'll go shopping. Gladly.
Oh, jeez. There's that funky slide guitar coming in. We are on a Wicked Wednesday. Coming on the Mighty Met 1490, where you hear us every day from 5:30 to 6, where you get the best news and views all across the Inland Empire with Stephanie and Roy. So tune in to us daily, 5:30 to 6 on the Mighty Met, KMET.
He's trying to steal my intros because I was asked to do one, and now he feels like he needs to do one.
Well, I did the first ones for me that were great, but they did, for some reason, the editing department didn't like the music that was in there, so I have to keep redoing them, so they will do that. But no, we need to, because it's hard to do it 1-2 without a script, so you really need to do, we need to write a script so we can do the 1-2s. Anyway, so people are probably wondering, why are we talking about this stuff on this coming in? Man. Roy was happier than a clam last night. I could not believe it. Prop 13 went down to a resounding defeat, 56% no. On top of that, Measure A is 56% no. The $715 million RCC bomb is that, do we have the flushing toilet sound effect? This is the sound of school bonds. Not only statewide, Riverside and San Bernardino County, this is what's happening to school bonds all across the area. Go ahead. They're going down the toilet. We'll be covering that on that. We'll have Jason Hunter coming up at 5:15. We might go to 7:15.
No, we're not.
I am so excited.
We are not.
I don't think I can shut. I think
He'll go till 7.
I will go
I'm
till
out.
2 o'clock in the morning. I am so wound up. I mean, it has been decades since we've had victories like this. This harkens back to June of 1996 when a merry band of warriors took $300 and beat back and defeated the utility tax in Moreno Valley against 30 grand against the corporate establishment that was doing that. And this is we'll get into the details of this, but I mean, we've been getting resoundingly defeated on this stuff. So, and there's going to be a lot of repercussions coming on that. What are we?
I just wanted to rehear your voice again.
Yeah, so you don't get enough of me. You have to replay me on the show while we're doing it on that.
Yep.
Some breaking news today. As we're going to do that, we'll post it on IEN as soon as the show is. Teacher was arrested in Moreno Valley Unified School District for sending inappropriate photos to a student. So that just broke today. What's wrong with these? I mean, I guess it's probably just the year of where you're hearing this stuff more often. But I mean, not only here. I mean, you hear these reports coming in all across.
Well, back how many years ago? I mean, teachers wouldn't have the means to send photos or messages, so they would just do stuff, right? I mean, things get out a lot more easier. Not giving her credit and saying it's okay. I'm just saying
the evil of
those
the cell
things.
phone. Yes,
They
of
get you
that.
everything.
Do not send emails, photos, anything, communications, writings on any of these devices that you do not want to see public. Because at some point, or somebody else is going to, they
So everything I said about you before the show, I probably should have not.
Correct.
Crap.
Because your cell phone company, somewhere, everything that's ever been posted, pictures, videos, said, is stored somewhere
Somewhere.
and can be retrieved at any point. So anything.
That just like creeps me out. I don't know why. That's just
Well, it should. You should not put any communication or anything on these things that you do not want public. Because the odds are at some point they probably will, or somebody's going to get a hold of them. So use these things sparingly and for the tool
Not
as the
sparingly.
purpose they should be used for. Because if you use them for, let's say, nefarious purposes or things you don't want to get out, someday that's going to come and bite you in the ass, I guarantee it. So that's your public awareness deal on that of going. That's a public service announcement from Roy Bleckert on that. And that is my opinion. You are free to do what you want. But don't say you weren't warned when it happens.
Okay. Lorian writes in, though there are still months worth of votes to count. Stay tuned for mystery boxes of ballots.
They can have all the mystery boxes they want. Them bonds are going down. The 57% no at this point is fait accompli. I really love the folks in Harupa and Beaumont. They defeated their bonds in the 60 percentile, almost 2-1. I think 2-1 in Beaumont's case and almost in Harupa.
Woo-hoo, go Harupa.
Now, you folks in the south end of Moreno Valley and Paris in the Valverde School District, I don't know, you must be drinking the water out of the sewer plant. Please don't drink the S water. Something's affecting your brain. Because there were 8 local school bonds. 7 of them were defeated. The only one that's winning is Measure C in the Valverde School District. Everybody else is resoundingly defeating these things. Happy days are here again. The public safety personnel that were on the deal on Prop 13, the $15 billion the statewide bond, as what's it doing, Jesse? What's the $15 billion statewide bond doing? Yes. As it's going down the toilet. All you guys were up there saying, oh, these schools and asbestos and the schools are da-da-da-da-da. You know what? All that money went flushing right down that toilet. And don't say you didn't know this time. This time we're not we're not aware of what was going on. You purposely knew what's going on. So all you architects and contractors and whatever, thought you was going to get rich off the Measure A bond, put I think almost $400,000 into passing Measure A like you did all the others. You know where that money went? Where did that money go, Jesse? Yes. $400,000 of your money went down the toilet, along with all the whatever you spent. We'll get all the 460s and see what you spent on all these local bonds that went flushing right down the toilet too. You got one bond out of the whole enchilada, out of over probably 20. I don't know.
That camera.
What?
Nothing. I'm entertaining myself at this point.
I wonder how you're entertaining yourself at this point.
Jesse gets it.
No, it was a total smoke out on the deal, and I'm and of the conversations, and I'm hoping we're going to mark this day, March 3rd, 2020, is the turning point where the pendulum is finally in California swinging back from insanity to passing all this stuff. Like I said, I don't remember any time when school bonds were getting defeated. Even when it was only when they had the proposition from like 1978 to 2000, where they had a 2/3 threshold to pass school bonds. I don't remember this many school bonds going down. So maybe the people of California are finally getting the message. And I talked with Jason Hunter a little bit on it too, but I was seeing it. Not only like you were paying more attention to it. Some of the ones that we were seeing a lot of the across the board on the social media. But I was hesitating on that because, I've seen this before. People say, "Yeah, we're voting no, no, no," and things pass by 70% or something. But this time was completely different. Actually, the reaction of the people are doing that, and again, for all of you that say, "Oh, money buys politics," if you don't have enough money, money buys votes and all this other stuff. Look at nationally. Bloomberg spent $500 million and pulled out of the race today. One, American Samoa was the only place that he ran, which doesn't even have a vote. Those people don't even count.
Why don't they count?
Because they're not a state. I don't even know why they run a primary in American Samoa. It's just like a beauty contest for some reason because it's a territory of ours, not a state. So you're looking at the whole stuff of that. There's a guy who spent Steyer, who probably spent Tom Steyer, who probably spent $200 million out of the race, along with Pocahontas is reassessing.
So who do we have left then?
So basically, it's Biden and Bernie.
Okay.
It's going to come down to Biden or Bernie on the Democratic side, whichever hot mess the Democrats decide to run against El Presidente, Donald Trump. Now, again, I caution. I mean, the way things are looking, I think Trump's going to win this thing in a landslide. But look at last week. Everybody was coronating Bernie as the, as he's got to, nobody can stop him on the nomination, 1 week later, now Joe Biden wins a bunch of states, basically almost runs the table on Super Tuesday, except for California. Now Biden's, now it's a two-man race. Biden's got the lead. He's going to get it, yada, yada. So politics can change on a heartbeat. But with the economy going good, everything going good, I'm saying this probably, it's going to be, it's going to take some catastrophic meltdown event by Trump or something just catastrophic because I don't see at this point where they've got any chance on the whole deal. So what's your take on the whole enchilada?
Mine?
Yeah.
Oh no, let's ask Jason. He's way better than me.
Well, yeah, but
I think I'm so glad that Prop 13 went. Come on, man.
We're a little slow on the sound.
There we go.
There we go. On that. Yes. Along with what happened to Measure A, Jesse?
There we go.
And the other 6 local bonds that were going on, what happened to those? That's it.
Yeah.
They're shotguns down the toilet. I imagine if there's somebody on this planet that's probably as happy, because nobody could be happier today than me, but somebody who probably is celebrating that, and we'll have Susan Shelley, who's probably another one on that. Us merry band of warriors, not only locally, but statewide, with hardly absolutely no money at all, stomped, literally stomped the establishment crooks that have been hosing us no longer. 56%, the $15 billion statewide school bond is going down to defeat. 56%, the $715 million Measure A bond, along with 6 of the other 7 local measures that are going down to defeat in San Bernardino, Riverside counties. Tell me, Jason Hunter, are happy days here again? Do we have
the beginning of, or at least a time to take maybe in retrospect in history, we'll look back at this and say, this is the point where the voters finally put their foot down and said, no more. It certainly kind of at least appears that way looking at the vote from Tuesday.
This is stunning, like I've said. Since from, what was it, the period of 1978 to, I think, 2000 when Prop 39 was changed. When school bonds had to pass by 67% to do that. I don't remember this almost sweep of that. Not to mention last year the LA County bond did not go through on that, which is absolutely stunning on this. compounded with what happened today, this could not be possibly, and I hope you're right, and I think you are, this could be the biggest of Super Tuesdays, not only nationwide, which happened nationwide, but in California in particular.
Well, it might be that California is actually a lagging indicator this time around versus a leading indicator as towards the general public's just fed upness with their government and their distrust of government. We could be just, lagging this time around. And finally, the sort of the populist sort of movement that hit across the country in 2016 has made its way to California. And people are saying, you know what? These progressive policies and these outlandish government spending, it's too much. Our quality of life is going down every single year. Our cost of living is going up. It's putting my family at risk, and no more across the board.
I mean, we had the best in 1990. We had the best. We were number one in education. Had the best facilities, not only K through 12, but through the university system on up. We are near the bottom. Our schools are in disrepair. Our test scores, our results are just in the tank, and we are spending far more. $20,000 per student is the number K through 12 right now in the state of California. We should be not only number one in the United States spending that kind of money, we should be number one by far in the world if money translated into results in education, which I think you're right. I think people are finally coming to the realization that it is our money that has been going to the schools in the last, since probably 1990 in California, has been largely squandered away to the detriment of the kids, which is really sad.
Well, if you could just paper over the problem, it seems like that's the solution, right? If instead of actually managing the money a little bit more prudently and making sure that it's going towards some actual accountability and some ascertainable results, it just seems like, the schools don't seem to be doing as well. Let's just throw more money at it. And not understanding that money is going to be redirected to people who know how to take the money out of the system. And I think you're right, Roy. Maybe the canary in the coal mine, and it kind of seems strange that it would be L.A., but maybe L.A., when they voted down their school bond last year, maybe that really was the canary in the coal mine, and it was a signal of things to come. I think there's a little bit more at play, of course, on the local level with how unhappy people seem to be, in the general area about how, there's been many school bonds and many other tax measures passed locally here in Riverside and Moreno Valley and other places. And I think maybe people have finally woken up to, that money wasn't, these were pretty recent measures. That money wasn't really used for what everybody said it was going to be used for either. And I just think the takeaway I have is there really was no measurable outside of maybe a few voices, yourself included, and I thank you for that and allowing me on your show. There really wasn't any real money behind against these measures that I'm aware of, particularly Measure A would be the one that I'm most cognizant of, and yet a resounding defeats at the polls.
I know Prop 13, the latest numbers I got today from Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, they spent $250,000. The latest they had is almost close to $10 million was spent statewide on Prop 13. And Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association was the only one on no on 13 that anybody's aware of. That's over 40 to 1. What's I think it's probably even worse. I don't even think there were hardly any money was spent on no on A. What was the total?
No on A is 0 to 400,000 almost.
Yes.
Last time I checked,
that's infinity.
They outspent the opposition by infinity.
Yes, by infinity on that. On top of that, this is astounding of that. And I said that, and again, this even bodes well, I think, hopefully for California and the nation, where you hear all this talk about money buys politics and Well, this isn't just a one-off deal. This was happening all from the local level all the way up to the state. Resounding defeats when, in a turnaround in 2 years from going these things have been passing for decades, like just like clockwork. I mean, like the sun coming up in the morning, and
yeah, even the defeat of the gas tax, right? That was defeated. So this is a fairly new phenomenon that we're kind of seeing. Is that it seems like, particularly, I mean, in the Inland Empire, but also in LA, we've seen signs of it. And now statewide, we're kind of seeing signs of people are putting their foots down. And what my guess is, Roy, is what you're seeing on a larger scale is you're seeing a bit of a fracture in sort of on the left side of the political spectrum, where I think you've got a lot of very, very progressives that are in control of California, leaving a lot of the mainstream moderate Democrats behind. And maybe this is their way of saying, hey, you've just gone too far, and we need to either take a pause or we need to reverse momentum very, very quickly. That's what it seems like to me, just trying to read the tea leaves here.
And I think
it's like we're all waking up.
Yes, and I'm hoping we will return to the California from when we became a state in 1850 till 1990, of the state that was very fiscally frugal, but built the finest school system, interstate, anything else. We were number one at practically everything because we did it right. But we did it, and we didn't get in your face or tell you how to act, in your deal. This was the ultimate, I would say, wet dream of our founding fathers, where we gave you the freedom to be yourself.
I didn't say that.
I said it.
Roy Flecker.
because I think it is. And California was the primary number one example of that, and how it works, and how communism, socialism, or whatever ism you have doesn't work. And when we went away from that, and I think finally after 30 years, people are finally making that connection back to, we aren't buying this BS. We aren't buying this baloney that everything is free. We're seeing the signs of what happens when we follow this path, and when we get off the path of what we know what works is right. And again, is my colorful hillbilly way of saying it, and I say it like that to get, to hopefully and get people's attention and get this and not lose this momentum, because we have split roll coming up, which is the first stones in trying to dismantle the real Prop 13, which was happened in 78. And that's going to be a real fight. But I'm thinking what's happened in California on March 3rd bodes well that we can defeat split roll. And if we do that, that's going to send shockwaves, I think, not only across California, but the nation.
Well, I agree with you, Roy. And I think, this morning there's a lot of, on these school bond measures, there's got to be a lot of very disappointed architects and construction firms and bond councils, and a lot of the folks who are behind. I've looked at some of the bond proposals. There's 75, 85, 95% of the money that support these, yes on Measure A type of bond measures and it just seems like everyone that comes out, if the last one passes, the next one gets even more aggressive about not really having a lot of accountability towards the people who are paying the bills.
I think
this last one on Measure 8 didn't even really include, in my opinion, any kind of specificity towards their project list and what they were going to build. They were asking more or less, hey, trust me, with $715 million, we'll do the right thing, even though we might only be here for the next couple of years and we'll be spending the money for the next 20.
Yeah, the people said not no, but hell no. And I also heard through the rumor mill that at the Lexus dealer, BMW, and Porsche place, there's an awful lot of cancellation on new car orders. That kind of, I think I bet you the stunned looks in the boardrooms and corporate offices. Not only that, and the union and the public employees union, especially public safety personnel, firefighters, and cops today, of going in and facing that, they got blowed out 100% on this stuff. And it kind of makes my heart good because, like I said, I was the one that pointed that out on the gas tax of that, and pointing out on all these other things where they've been used as props. And we'll get into that maybe one day, of all the fun stuff that's went on behind the scenes about that. But you got to stand your ground.
And maybe it finally will put an end to these ridiculous project labor agreements that are getting pushed on these public projects. And I know a big part of, in my opinion, why the unions were getting behind some of these measures was to to slice off parts of the spending for themselves exclusively to the the non-represented private sector's disadvantage. And I think that's just, I had a real problem with that from an ethical standpoint, that some folks would try to basically carve their own slice out of these bond measures for themselves to the exclusion of others.
Oh, it's a dirty little whorehouse they've had going up, and maybe we're putting a little end to that little foray that they've been hosing us, the tax-paying citizens, for many years.
I'm hoping that some of these districts come back back down at the table.
Yes.
With some of the taxpayer advocates and some of the community, activists, and say, we do have needs that do need to be filled. We do have infrastructure needs. But what do you want as far as accountability measures and guarantees within the proposition versus a very autocratic top-down approach, which was just dictating to the public what the terms were going to be? And I'm glad that the taxpayers finally woke up and said, no, we're going to dictate the terms, not you. I'm hoping that's the message that's been sent, and we can go forward productively. Because there is a point to having a public sector, and we do need good classrooms for our students, but we also need protections as taxpayers.
Correct. Corona Norco, Riverside, Moreno Valley Unified School District, the big three kahunas in Riverside County, the biggest school districts we have. That's not Roy talking, that's Jason Hunter. And yeah, if you would have sat down with some of us, and when Measure M come up, I sat down with school district officials and said almost precisely what you're saying. You put together a $100 million bond, you specifically map out long-term school projects that either need to be rebuilt or new facilities we need. I said, I will be on board with that. But an open blank checkbook for you to buy Chromebooks on a 3-year lease, and we're going to pay $30 million for $30 million, and we're going to pay 30 years on that. That is financial suicide, and no way am I going to stop that.
Yeah, Measure O to tell all the people that you're going to take all the kids out of the portable classrooms and then turn around and build 4 new schools with it. I hope everyone's sick of the bait and switches, and I hope that these municipal agencies, these government agencies, institutions, learn a lesson. And it's not that the public, despises you. It's just we don't trust you, and you need to re-earn our trust. And you're not going to do it by having a one-way conversation with the public.
No truer words were ever spoken. Thanks a lot for being on, Jason Hunter, on that. Thanks for all your help on this. And man, you deserve a lot of credit, especially with Measure A, because you did a lot of digging on the facts and getting that stuff out there. And it was work well rewarded with a 56% so far no vote on that.
Well, I'll be dancing a little extra jig on St. Patrick's Day. Good talking to you all.
You got it. Thanks a lot for being on, Jason.
Bye-bye.
Again, yeah, that just, it's blowing a lot of the paradigms out of it. And Jason said something that's absolutely right. If maybe now they will sit down with the table and actually talk intelligently and put the facts up on the table, and we can all work it out. If it's going to be a one-sided conversation and we dictate and you listen, well, that works for a while until I hope.
Dun, dun, dun. I just want to throw that in the sound effects. He's failing at it, so I figured I'll take it over.
Good thing you're here, else we wouldn't have any sound effects going on that. But no, it is, and I think if they would, I hope they will heed Jason Hunter's words and say, okay, we are really willing to sit down at the table and work this stuff out instead of the deception and lies and dictations, and because the results up across the board have not proven it. So what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again. And I think
expecting a different result.
And the people, the vast majority of the people of California have finally caught on to that and are saying, not no, but hell no. And if that doesn't get your attention, I don't know what will. We'll be on. We'll have Susan Shelley coming back on the other side when we join KMAT to talk about Prop 13 and that because Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association was the lone band of merry warriors leading that charge, and again, rewarding right now with a 50%, 6% no
1
win
minute,
on
1
that,
minute.
where we're going on that. Like I say, I bet you there's a bunch of happy campers over at Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association today, because like I said, with 250,000 versus close to $10 million and counting, who knows what the final number will be, what was spent on the yes side of that, and it goes down to a smoke and defeat on that. So again, it's a great, for those of you that like the underdog, it's a great day for the underdog because, man, we kicked ass here today.
30 seconds.
Kicked it.
Yes.
We kicked it, Sean.
Yes, even Sean's giving us
I
a
have no
woo-hoo
idea
on
what you were saying. What?
it.
I would say I'm kidding, but I'm so. Hey, did you hear 30
All right, guys,
seconds?
here we go. 10 seconds.
Hosting.com. Be sure to ask
You're
for
kidding.
the
I don't remember what it was.
Blue Desmond Black.
Something about
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET.
Slide guitar, if I can say it right, has a little extra funky twang in it today. Because, man, oh man, oh man. On this Wicked Wednesday, coming up on KMET, the Mighty Bet 1490, where you'll catch all the local news and events going on all across the board, and we will cover that with Stephanie and Roy on iNewsWire Daily like nobody else can. Catch the hottest talk show in the Inland Empire on KMET, the Mighty Met 1490. So how was
Okay.
that? Yes, that's another preview coming on that. So maybe we'll do it this time without the music and stuff on that, and maybe Stephanie will write us a script so we can do.
Why am I writing the script now?
Because I don't know how to do it.
You were never asked to even do the intro. You're just doing it.
Well, you said you wanted to make a. You said you wanted to make a one with.
But
both
you
of
talked through the whole damn thing.
Well, you would need to do yours.
Sean, help me.
One day you'll
It'll
come
be
in
great.
and decide to do yours alone, and then we can do the double one.
Anyways.
So it's got more than one. Man, oh man, oh man. As those of you who got the benefit, those of you who watch our video cast on iNewsWire Daily on Facebook and YouTube, happy days are here again. Man, there could be no happy camper in the state of California or the world than Roy today. Man, we kicked ass. Defeated Prop 13, the $15 billion school bond, went down to defeat 56% no. Measure A, the $715 million Riverside College District, which includes RCC, Corona Norco, and the Moreno Valley campus, 56% no. Even better, the folks of Beaumont had a local measure B for Beaumont, defeated 2-1, 66%. The great folks from Stephanie's hometown of Harupa, 63% defeated Measure E. Plus, they defeated, I think, a local Parks and Recreation fee increase, too. So the folks down in Harupa were hot, man. They're saying none of this stuff is coming. Not only that, plus they must have been on the plus side. Riverside County on Prop 13, 63%. San Bernardino County, 67% no. Orange County, 67% no. I don't know what's wrong with San Diego. They were only at 58% no. But they're beating back the juggernaut of LA County, which only went 52% the last time checked on the site of going forward. So, I mean, this thing's going down in flames all across the board. 7 of the 8 local bond measures in Riverside and San Bernardino school bond measures did not pass. This is like a watershed mark. I don't ever remember this happening even at the heyday in Prop 13 between, I believe, 1978 and 2000, before Prop 39, when school bonds had to pass by 67%, I do not remember a resounding defeat, and these things have been passing like cordwood for decades, up until this election. And to celebrate, to talk about the David who went up against Goliath, I think $250,000 Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association spent on No on Measure A versus almost close to $10 million and counting for the Yes folks on Prop 13, the $15 billion school bond. Susan, Shelley, tell me you're as happy as Stephanie and I are, and the whole state or the majority of folks in California, because, man, we kicked ass.
Well, it looks that way. It certainly looks that way, but they keep counting for a month, so we're not counting the chickens till they're hatched. But it's a great day. Any day that taxpayers are in the lead on anything is a good day,
yes.
And we will take it. It certainly does feel like this election was a turning point.
That's what we did. We talked to Jason Hunter of Riverside. He's kind of a gadfly down there, like I am in Moreno Valley, that does that, and he was really on the Measure A thing, which affected Moreno Valley, Riverside, Corona, Norco, Paris. That's the community college district we have out here. And, man, well, in the same percentage, we blew that one 56% out of the water. The good folks in Beaumont rejected their school bond 2-1, 66%. The good folks in Jurupa, 63% no. Plus, they blew out a local parks and recreation tax that the council put on the deal. So, man, it looks like it was again. I mean, the astounding turnaround from them convincing the good people of the state of California to keep the gas tax going in 2018 to 2020. Not no, but hell no on all this stuff.
Hell no, exactly. Well, what I'm wondering is if the fact that this Proposition 13 had this extra provision tied to it, which would allow school districts
yes.
to issue nearly double the debt, which made all of us talk about the fact that when school districts double the debt, your property taxes go up because local school bonds are paid for on the property tax bill, and you're already paying enough. I'm wondering if all the talk about that had a spillover effect in politics where people said, yeah, and not only that, I'm not voting for this. So possibly the idea of just educating voters of what the connection is between these sweet-sounding bonds and the bills you get for them later made a difference.
It is, and I got to congratulate you, Jason Hunter, Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, John Coppell, of that. Man, when I heard about, and I didn't even know that on Prop 13, when I heard that they were going to double the limits on the Prop 39 stuff, I thought, holy heck. Because could you imagine the scenario that would have been most likely and what they were banking on if Prop 13 would have passed all these local measures and they would have allowed them to double our assessments on local measures? You imagine what kind of school bonds would have been in the ballot in 2022? I mean,
they passed so easily. They passed with 55%
yes.
instead of 2/3, which is a change that we made in 2000, but we shouldn't have made that change because there should be a 2/3 vote to raise taxes on anybody. And this is just, I think the chickens have come home to roost on this stuff. Too many of these claims that we have to do this for the schools, we have to do this for the firefighters, we have to do this for the firefighters, we have to do this for the schools, election after election, and the problems never get better. Nothing is ever solved. They're still talking about asbestos. They should have fixed the asbestos by now,
yeah.
And if they didn't, somebody should be in jail over it. So I think there's just a deep cynicism which came flooding out with all of these tax increase and bond proposals on the ballot this year. I think there's just a spillover effect from all the campaigns together and everybody, because you can't wall off the communications. If you're advertising in a media market and people are talking about it on the radio, it's not limited to just that one voter's issue. The voter's going to hear that message for everything they're voting on. And cumulatively, I think it's just too much.
Yeah, I think people are finding that, and yeah, if there's asbestos in schools, firefighters that were up there, oh, there's this stuff in Prop 13. They're saying if that's no, you should be down. You should be down at your local school boards, recalling the board members and demanding that the executive staffs be fired if this stuff is going on. That's where you should be sending your union money to doing that. If you were doing that, then I would be down there cheerleading you instead of people like me having to go down there and getting called all kinds of names about it and having hissy fits amongst the people that are running that stuff because we're telling the truth.
Yes,
they're the ones
we are.
doing the lie. And if that's the case, they should be the ones telling us or explaining to us and how at $20,000 right now per student K through 12 in California, this is happening.
It should not be happening. And it certainly shouldn't be happening after $45 billion in bond money since 2002 for the same thing. It's just not, it's just not right. You know, aside from everything else, bonds are very expensive. This is the most expensive way to build anything. Now, it's not that it's never a good idea, but it's not a good idea for maintenance and salaries and pension costs. It's a good idea for building something that's going to last longer than the bond payments, like anything you do with credit. You don't want to take out a mortgage on your house and spend the money on a vacation because the vacation's gone and the bills are still coming. You want to take out the mortgage to help you build a business which is going to generate revenue and then it's worthwhile. But if you're just doing it on day-to-day spending to cover your bills, you're going to be behind quickly. And that's where California is. We have too much debt, our taxes are too high, the problems don't get solved, and they come back to the voters for more tax increases. No more of this. No more.
As I said with Jason Hunter, I heard this rumor that at the Lexus dealers, Cadillac, Porsche, and BMW, they had a lot of cancellations today on new car orders, and I'm sure I would bet dimes to donuts that's coming from the contractors and architects and all the ones that thought, man, we are in the money. They again, these guys, and I mean seriously about that. Again, I would love to be a fly in the wall on all their offices today, because man, they got to be stunned.
Well, I think they are, and the fact that even though they're still counting the votes, and we're not going to declare victory on Prop 13 today. Okay, but I'm not. You know, they still have a lot of votes to count. We don't know how many. They have bags and bags of votes, and between you and me, we don't know where those bags came from. So there's a lot of counting yet to be done. However, the fact that it was close at all, the fact that it was upside down from what the advocates wanted when the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association was the entire campaign against it, and all we did was $250,000 and a lot of interviews and a lot of web posts and articles, but all we spent on advertising was $250,000, and they spent $10 million. So we did 1/40th of what they spent.
40 to 1.
We appear to have beaten them.
The number on Measure A is infinity because we didn't spend a dime on the No on A.
Wow,
over $400,000 and counting they dumped into Measure A in RCC District, and they got blowed out 56% no.
Wow. Oh, that's just great. That is so important.
Again, and it's a victory for the common man and woman in California, for the underdog. And again, I hope it blows this paradigm out of the water that, oh, you can't beat the big money of that. If money meant everything, why is Tom Steyer at spent 100, 200 million? Bloomberg at 500 million and counting, and they're out of the race?
He won American Samoa.
Yes!
$500 million.
Which doesn't even count.
I'm scared.
Well, you know, it's always been my feeling in politics when I go and talk to people, actual people, not consultants and not donors and not people who are above it all, so to speak. But you're actually talking to the voters and people who pay their bills with money they earn themselves. They do not need to get a mailer every week or every day or hear a radio commercial 6 times an hour. If you're telling them that someone is trying to raise their taxes, they hear it the first time. And you don't have to keep saying leadership and showing pictures of people with flags and dogs in the park. You don't have to do all that. You just say, they're trying to raise your taxes. Everybody gets the message the first time. And that may be what happened here.
Yeah, I think so, and it is a lesson in that, and that's why, especially, and I've probably been a number one as guilty as this, because people like you and me, Jason Hunter, and those are what I call the less than 1% that really play the inside politics, baseball stuff of this. We tend to get too complicated on all this stuff instead of breaking the message down, and I think this time we really did, and I tried to do that. You know what? They're not explaining they're going to double your assessments and stuff because I understand the danger of that, but most people don't grasp that. No, they're hosing you. Not only that, they're hosing your kids. Your kids are the ones that are getting the substandard that are in. You know why your facilities are there? Because they've been ripping you off all these years. And now they're asking for more. They haven't fixed the asbestos yet in 30 years. What leads you to believe that they're going to fix it now if you give them more money?
There should be some accountability for this.
Yes.
There should be accountability for all these failures of government. It's not that the taxes in California are too low. This is not the case. And it's not that the voters haven't tried to support education. Over and over again, the voters have approved spending for education. And yet, where is it going? Where is it going? There's asbestos in the classrooms and they still don't have music programs. Where is it going? And that needs investigation and exposure because the voters should not be taken advantage of by these emotional commercials that say it's for the children. Yeah, well, you know what? Competent government is better for the children than throwing this money into debt spending, and then giving them the bill for 35 years. The little kids in the classroom are going to be paying these bills if we pass these bonds. It's not right. We're stealing their future when we do stuff like this. We should be spending money from the regular budget on important priorities first, and then if there's money left over after the important priorities, the politicians can spend it on whatever they want to the extent that the voters will let them. But first, the schools, the fire department, the police, the priorities, not last, first.
You're nicer than I am. We should get a tax refund like we did in 1987 of $1 billion when the GAN spending caps, which came out of the Prop 13 in 79 of that.
Yeah.
That's where the tax money should be going back to. And we had like I said, the 80s was the second gold rush, and it was two things that did that. It was Prop 13 and Prop 4, the GAN spending caps. Not only we were in the depths of recession, turned California around, and we led the nation out of recession in the roaring 80s on that. Got about a minute left because, as you know, as the last election's done, you start the campaign for the next one, and the big kahuna coming up is split rolls coming up. So you got about a minute to explain what the next fight is coming in November, and tell them why every member every person in California should be joining Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. Goes to SHELLEY.
Absolutely. Well, what is coming in November is an attack on Proposition 13, the one that passed in 1978. And the plan in this initiative is to reassess commercial property to market value. Right now it's under Prop 13, so it's assessed at the purchase price plus no more than 2% a year. So properties that have been owned for a long time are assessed at much lower rates. If they're reassessed to market value, you just drive down the freeway and point at restaurants, hotels, office buildings, car dealerships, any commercial property that you drive by. Imagine if it was reassessed to today's real estate value, and then the property taxes were assessed on that. It's a huge, massive tax increase. It will raise the price of everything you buy. And we are the organization that is fighting this idea of doing this to people. So join the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. Strengthen the voice of taxpayers in California. We're at hjta.org. hjta.org. And it's only $15 a year. And you get Taxing Times, a little newspaper that I edit and write some of. So you'll like that.
You got it. That best $15 you'll ever spend. Thanks a lot for being on the show today.
Thank you.
This glorious, victorious day.
Thanks, Roy. Thanks, Stephanie.
Bye, Susan.
Bye.
That was fun. I think we got video to play.
We do. I worked so hard on it. This
Yeah.
is like my favorite one that I made yet.
Really?
Yeah.
So intro it in.
You.
I don't know. I haven't watched. I couldn't play.
You haven't watched my video?
No, I couldn't play. I told
You
you.
haven't
like,
seen it yet?
I couldn't play.
Okay,
I can't play
So
it.
we were at NASCAR for 2020 this last weekend, and I decided to take my videos and break them down between 3 because to run one long one would be like probably boring. Anyways, so the first one was covering the Xfinity series, right?
Correct.
The second one was my favorite because we covered the infield life. And let me tell you, it is something just way different. I couldn't even capture all of it, but I hope the video kind of shows a little bit of how it was because it is the best ever. It's really a lot of fun. If my producer is ready, go ahead and roll the clip.
As we are waiting
It's-
for the video
what?
to roll.
Whoops. Anyways, really.
After that great build-up and then no video.
It really is a lot of fun,
It
though.
is.
And it's great for the kids, too.
There we go. Yeah, some of the sights and scenes. Yeah, there's the M&Ms of that. Yeah, there's 2 cute little kids who are from Team Toyota on that. Kyle Larson fans burning the
Why
other.
are you
They're
talking
42.
over my video?
Dude, explain to people what's going on. Because the
Oh,
radio
yeah, because
folks,
the radio, people can't
duh,
even see
You're
it.
seeing some of the bikes.
Yeah, why are we
going across
playing?
of the,
Some people, this band, they were an AC/DC cover. They
Right.
were really good.
Yes, they were. I mean, they had AC/DC
Yeah.
down pretty good.
They did.
I mean, they.
And all the music that you hear is actually from that band that
Yes.
I took the sound from. Jeff.
There's Jesse Gordon,
Jeff Gordon.
which you'll
Jesse
see out
Gordon,
at Night of Destruction, Saturday night at Parasauto Speedway on that.
This band, my sister loves this song. She used to always sing it. So when he was playing it, it just like kind of touched that.
Yes,
soft
this
spot.
was the band inside the infield. They
were their own little garage band.
Yes,
and they
you had-
like nailed it.
Yes, it was a garage band. There's garage bands all through the infield on that. So again, all the people that are, it's not only just cars racing around there. It's a whole weekend out there, and the infield.
The infield is like insane.
Yes, of that.
At the beginning, we showed a photo of Roy with these other 2 men, and they were from. Where were they from? Were they from Germany or something like that?
Yeah, some
They were
foreign
from
country.
somewhere, and it was just. I mean, they were just in a totally different world. But they were all mostly except for the one guy that yelled at us for walking through his campsite. Everybody there was so much fun. I mean, people offer you food, people are offering you drinks. One of our good friends was selling her Girl Scout cookies, her daughter's
Laura.
Girl Scout cookies there. I mean, it was just, you have the band, you have great friends, you have bonfires, you have barbecues. It's fun.
Yes, it is.
I like that part more than, well, the racing school too, but the infield,
No, it is. I mean, again,
it
it's,
really like seals the deal on the
yes,
weekend.
it's like it's all there's something for everybody out there. It's a whole
Kids
it's,
are riding their bikes everywhere.
Yeah, you've seen the ones with and that is in 36 NASCAR races, the best infield bike show by far, and anybody will tell you this, is at Fontana Speedway. There are more bikes in the infield in Fontana Speedway. Daytona, Talladega, Darlington, anywhere else. The best bike show on the NASCAR circuit is right at Fontana
And
Speedway.
you know, it really does, like, growing up, I would go camping with my best friend and her family. So growing up, we would bring our bikes, we'd skate around. So going there, it brings me back to my childhood. And I can think while walking around, seeing all these little kids having fun with like friends, making new friends, maybe family. It's really cute because those are memories that those kids are going to have forever and then pass on to their kids.
Yes, and that's what I say. It's really a heck of an experience out there to go out there for Fontana on the weekend.
Yeah.
Of that.
Just to let loose and just
Yes.
to have fun. I
You
mean,
can-
everybody's watching everybody's kids. It's not like
Right.
anything crazy's going on. It's just everybody having a good time.
Yes. And
You really can't find that anywhere in the Inland Empire.
exactly.
And I mean, really, when you go, no, I'm just kidding. I want to be like you.
No, it is. I mean,
really, you guys get the get the spots now before they're all sold. Okay. Oh, and don't forget, coming up this weekend. What do we have coming up this weekend?
What do we have coming up this week? Night of Destruction, Paris
Where?
Auto Speedway.
For the first Night of Destruction of 2020.
Opening race at Paris Auto Speedway coming up Saturday night. That will be maybe we'll even have a couple drivers coming on from
Maybe.
Night of Destruction on Friday. It's a big. Maybe we'll surprise you of what's going on that. So, but no, it's
Maybe you'll tell me what I'm supposed to be planning.
what are you supposed to be playing?
I don't know. You're telling them there's something's coming up, and no, we
that'll
got
ruin the
some. I know
surprise.
we got some great surprises.
Yes, of coming up. So yeah, not only that, racing season's coming up all across the board. Again, I think I mean, it's my sport. I was grown up in it. I love every aspect of it. I say every day.
Do you like racing?
No.
Really? You grew up racing?
You heard some of the inside stories of some of the little projects Roy's been involved in on
Yeah.
that. The story.
Freezing cold outside, and they all want to have a powwow away from the fire.
You didn't
We
suspect
eventually
that
found
the
the
little story Dell Underwood told about the day in 1996 when I pulled out the IMCA modified car I had. Man, that I don't think that
What?
there has never been at any speedway that I've seen one car that pulled out more attention that came out when we rolled that thing in the pits on that day. But maybe we'll get a Dale or chainsaw or something. We'll have a big powwow on that to do because they were all there that day when that car came out.
Did you say something about a chainsaw?
Yeah.
Why? What's happening with the chainsaw? Yeah,
Well,
we banned you.
We'll
We'll just take off the chain before we give it to him.
No, that's a guy I know from the very famous resident from Jamestown,
Where's Jamestown?
subsidiary of Harupa Valley. Of that,
It doesn't exist.
yes, it does. Man, that was a fun show.
Was it? I think you were just talking during most of it. No, I'm just kidding. Well, you weren't. But
We got to play your fantastic video.
we did.
Yes.
I love that video.
Yes,
And
it
really, go and check out the races. Live a little bit, people.
Yes! There
13
you go.
did not pass.
Yes!
Go do something fun.
Celebrate! We're on it. As we usually say on that, as we roll out of that, we're gone.
We're gone.